Hey guys, April here, your Chief Marketing Nerd, and welcome to the first ever episode of Beyond Fleek, the bonus content. So this is going along with episode 2 of Geek on Fleek, which is all about how to create consistent content for your business. And I'm going to do a little Asana tutorial for you guys. If you have no idea what Asana is, it's a project management tool. It's free to use, and it's something that I use for my business and my clients. Now, we're going to be talking about the boards aspect and how to create a content vault using Asana. So if you guys are just starting out with Asana, your screen is kind of going to look like this. It's going to be a little bit blank. You don't have any projects going. I created a new account so I could show you guys fresh on what it would look like from your perspective. So in order to create your first content vault, go ahead and go up to the top where it says new, and you're going to create a project. There's lots of different templates you could use, but we're going to create a board here, so we're just going to go with a blank project. And let's go ahead and name it Content Vault, and I'll do my initials. We don't really need a description because this is just for us. We know what it's about. But I want you to go ahead and take a minute to look at this part right here where it says layout. We want to go ahead and change this to the board layout. It looks really similar to another project management program called Trello. Boards are really, really useful in the content vault capacity. So we're going to go ahead and create our project. So when you first create your project, this is what it's going to look like. They're going to give you some already created columns. So these right here are columns. And what I want you to do is I want you to change these into be your 5 topic categories that we talked about on the Geek on Fleek podcast, episode 2. And so I'm going to go ahead and change mine right now. We're going to call this one Misc Marketing. SEO. Web design. And just so we have an extra column, Geek on Fleek podcast. Okay. So as you can see, these are going to go a little bit past where my screen is. So when you make your 5 topics, if you're on a desktop or if you're on a phone on the free app, you can go ahead and just click anywhere and drag your screen over like this if you need to see more project columns this way. And so the plus sign right here is going to be right under each of your topic categories listed above. The plus sign is how you add more idea cards to your topic column. And so as you can see, they've already got one ready for you to kind of show you the ropes on how it works. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this first one just to kind of demonstrate. But this is going to be your idea card. And what I want you to do is, in this spot, if you can think of a name or descriptive way to describe your idea that's short enough to see on the idea card, I would put that here. If not, just keep typing until you feel like it's enough that it'll remind you what your idea is about. So for this one, we're going to say how to create consistent content. And we're going to spell check that. So, okay, so we have our beginning of an idea right here. Now what you can do is go into the description, and this is where you're going to put the meat of what your idea is about. So remember in the podcast, I told you to take about 1 to 2 minutes and just type out as much as you can think of and flesh out each of your ideas. A really good way that I like to do this is with bullet points. And if you look here, you can do bold sections, italicized, You can do bullet points, numerical lists. You can even do emojis. We're going to go ahead and do a bulleted list. So I'm going to say that some of the points are going to be Asana Content Vault. Talk about idea cards, topic categories, and let's do the 3 things that I really pointed out in the podcast, which was tagging, attaching, and your to-dos. Okay? And if you can be as detailed as you possibly can in this section. But I'm going to say that's okay for right now for this demonstration. Once you have your idea fleshed out, I want you to go ahead and do a couple things. Like I mentioned in the podcast episode, you have a couple different features that I really want you to use for each and every idea that you have, if possible. And that first feature is going to be the tagging feature. So if you see these 3 little dots right here for more actions at the top, we're going to go ahead and click it, and we're going to add a tag. So tagging is just a way to label this idea. If you already know what kind of content you think this idea would be perfect for, then I want you to go ahead and tag it with that. And I want you to color code it so that when you're scanning your list of ideas in the future and you're trying to plan out a certain type of content, say for your podcast, then you can look at all the ones that are, we'll say purple in this case. And how it looks in your board is it's going to create a little colored line, and it says podcast if you hover over it. But it makes it really easy if there's a bunch of these to just go through and look at the purple ones. Okay, and then the next thing I want you guys to make sure that you do is to attach any content you already have for this idea. Now, sometimes you won't have any content to attach, and that's okay. But like we talked about in the podcast, if your idea is something that you come up with while you're at a client meeting, maybe you have some before and after images that you've taken, you're just uploading them into your computer, and you're like, this would be the perfect case study. I want you to go ahead and continue to store them wherever you do, but also I want you to attach them to your actual idea. How you do it is you click this little paper clip right here. You can choose anything from this list that you want to attach it from. I'm just going to attach something from my computer, and I'm going to go ahead and attach this. Okay? So this right here is just a Instagram post that I have on my desktop. And that way, if I have it attached here, one, it's going to put this beautiful picture on my idea card, which makes it stand out a little bit more. But also, it really helps cut down unnecessary time searching for photos or graphics that you already know are perfect for this idea when you go to actually write or record whatever piece of content this is and publish it. Which, I don't know about you, but I have folder on folder on folder, and it can get very time consuming for me. So when you go to actually create your content, all you have to do is re-download it, and you can easily find it and just delete it afterwards. Okay, so the next thing I want you guys to do is to create some sort of to-do list for each type of piece of content that you create. So for example, I blog and I do podcasts. We're going to pretend this is a podcast since technically this idea was a podcast. So what I want you to do is to go up to the top here again and look at this subtasks. Go ahead and click it. And this is just a little check the box system for to-do lists. But this allows you to create a system to make sure that you get everything done that needs to be done to create this piece of content. For example, for a podcast, what I need to do is to write a script. I need to record the podcast. I have to write show notes. Then I always like to go ahead and create a couple graphics, 2 to 3 graphics to go along with it. And for every single podcast, I really try to put out some bonus resources or even just sources that people can go to. So for example, this podcast episode, it's going to have this video, but it's also going to have a link to Asana so people can go ahead and create their own accounts. So I'm going to go ahead and say resources here. And then I'm going to upload everything to WordPress. I'm going to make sure it's SEO ready. I'm going to upload to my podcast host. I'm going to go ahead and schedule everything. And then I think I'm going to stop here. I'm not going to put all the social media tasks. But you can see this can create a really great formula for you to systematically go through and just make sure you've done everything possible that you need to do for that piece of content. And when you're done, the great thing about the to-do list is that you can go to the idea cards and go to this little 3-dot more content thing right here. You can go ahead and duplicate the task. And on the task, let's just call it idea number 2. So when it duplicates the task, it's going to duplicate everything in the task. But the great thing is that it's also going to duplicate your system. So all you need to do is go ahead and delete the stuff from the previous idea. And we already have it named what we're going to want. We're going to say bullet points for idea number 2. You can go ahead and redo the fleshing out of the idea, and you have your system right here. This is perfect for people who have assistants or teams or even virtual assistants that handle some of these tasks for them. So say if I had a graphic designer and I knew that they were going to have to come up with a specific 2 to 3 graphics for this podcast episode, I can go ahead and just make sure that they are on my team in Asana and they will know what the idea is when I'm planning on working on it. They'll already know my content schedule, so they will know that they need to go ahead and create 2 to 3 graphics. And this is perfect because if it's not you doing the task, when they check it off, you can come back in here and see that your team member or your assistant has gone ahead and done that portion for you. So it creates a lot less stress on your part to try to remember what you've done for each piece of content that you create. So when you have your ideas completely done for when you're first setting them up, I just want you to continue to use these. So to add a new idea, you would just go in here and create another one. It's very simple. You hit enter to make it stick. And if you make an idea and it shows up in one category, but say idea number 2 is actually about web design, you can go ahead and click and hold and drag it to another section so you don't have to always just copy paste it from the same topic category. Assign it to somebody. Let's say we have all the notes possible, and when we've gone through and we have searched for topic ideas that we're going to pre-schedule and start working on throughout the month, what I want you to do is go ahead and I want you to schedule this as a task and a due date so that you can remember to work on it, because we are trying to plan ahead, and that's the whole idea of having all your ideas in one spot so that you can kind of work ahead and you don't feel stressed to make content on the fly. So a good thing to do is to both create a task and a due date for that task. That way you get notified and it kind of keeps you accountable. In order to do that in Asana, what you want to do is to assign it to yourself. Now, I did use this for a client to try to teach them how to do this idea. And if I wanted to have somebody on my team to take care of this, I could go ahead and assign it to them. But since this is just a demonstration, I'm going to assign it to myself. And I will get an email reminder right away to tell myself that I assigned it to myself. If you have a team or a VA member, they will get an email saying that you assigned it to them. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go up here again to the more actions, and I'm going to create a follow-up task. And then I want to go ahead and give myself a little date to do this on. So as you guys know, my me days are always on Thursdays. So let's say that I want to go ahead and make sure that I work on this next Thursday so that it can come out next month. I'm going to go ahead and put a day on here. It's going to show up right at the bottom. If I wanted to, I could create little notes to myself. Schedule this for April's show lineup. April the month, not the person. I'm going to go ahead and create this task. So Asana is going to automatically add it to my tasks, and on the day that I marked, so next Thursday, it's going to remind me that I have a task due that day, which is so nice. It is also going to sync up to the app. So that morning, I'm going to see that I have a task due that day. But what I also like to do, just because I'm paranoid, is create a due date for myself. And I feel like getting multiple notifications for me really help because they usually come at different parts of the day. So I'm going to go ahead and say that it is due on the 28th. And I'm going to say that it is due at 2 p.m. Click done. So this is really important. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to know that I have a task due because it's going to be in my calendar. But I'm also going to get a reminder at 2 p.m. that, hey, woman, your task is due. So it kind of really just helps to do a double check system to make sure that I'm holding myself accountable. Now that you have everything complete, let's imagine that you've already created this piece of content, it's scheduled, and it's going to go out. What I like to do is to go ahead and just clean up my boards. So if I already have an idea, I know that it's scheduled, I know it's going to go out, I like to go ahead and just delete it. Okay, because I already have my resources, I already have all the photos backed up on my computer or my external hard drive. I'm not really worried about losing the content, but I am comfortable enough that I just really don't want to see it anymore because your boards can get a little bit crowded. So doing this helps a lot. And as you grow and you continue to use your content vault, you're going to come up with other topic ideas. And so if you ever want to add more topic idea columns, all you have to do is click Add Column, name it something fun, and then bam! You have your column and you can hit the plus sign and start creating ideas right then and there. You can also easily assign somebody to this or assign it to yourself. And you can pick its due date right here if you already know when you want it due. And that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this really quick tutorial of Asana. You can make it fancy. You can put photos in the background, change colors. I really like to keep mine clean, but you make your content vault completely your own. These are here to help you create consistent content with less stress and more strategy. And I hope having a content vault does the same growth for your business that it has provided for my business, my clients, and my friends. And I will see you guys next week on the Geek on Fleek podcast. If you're not already subscribed, I would do so. You can do it in the links in the description of this video, in the show notes section, or by going and opening iTunes or Google Play and searching for Geek on Fleek. All right, I will see you next time. Until then, bye guys.